Welcome back to the third episode in our coverage of the new Amazon show Invincible. If you missed the first parts, there should be a card up on screen for episodes 1 and 2 on Omni-Man and Invincible and their complete comic history. Today's video is going to be on another fan favorite character, Robot, who we've been getting a ton of questions about in the comment sections for other videos. Robot is a complicated individual, as you'll soon find out. As always, before we begin, we wanted to remind you that this video is going to cover the comic book origins and history of the character, and thusly, it's probably going to contain spoilers for the show, so if you're sensitive to that, I don't know why you clicked on the video. Also, the show and the comic is insanely violent and brutal, so be aware that the subject matter we discuss in today's video is not for children. Despite the show being animated, it is absolutely adult animation. Today's video is on Rudolph Conners, otherwise known as Robot, one of the most intelligent life forms in the Invincible universe. Also, keep in mind that this video is not going to cover every single issue, conversation, or action that Robot takes, but it will cover the vast majority of the most important elements of his story. Additionally, in order for the story to make the most sense, I may not necessarily cover every event as it occurred in the comics, but rather in a way that presents it most logically. Robot's first comic book appearance is in Invincible number 2, where he's shown arriving on scene to a break-in/crime in progress with other members of the Teen Team. The Teen Team is comprised of Adam Eve, Rexplode, Duplicate, and Robot. Additionally on site is a brand new hero, Mark Grayson, aka Invincible. Maybe you've heard of him. Robot, at first, is believed to be nothing more than a hyper-intelligent robotic drone that has dedicated himself to crime fighting, but the truth is far more bizarre than that. Robot leads the Teen Team, and throughout Mark's earliest adventures, Robot is a treasured ally. He offers Mark assistance in early mysteries, including helping Mark and Eve track down a homicidal teacher at their school who's blowing up students. This will actually be covered in greater detail in Eve's video. But it's not long into the series when Robot's talents are recognized by Cecil Stedman, the director of the Global Defense Agency. After Omni-Man turns the Guardians of the Globe into mashed potatoes, Cecil asks Robot to take over and form a new Guardians of the Globe. Robot, of course, accepts, disbands the Teen Team, and begins the process of selecting new Guardians. Unsurprisingly, the new Guardians of the Globe is comprised of primarily Teen Team members, with a few others rounding out the ranks. Duplicate, Shrink Ray, Black Samson, Monster Girl, and Rexplode are all chosen for the team, with Robot in the leadership position. Robot offers Mark a place on the team, but Mark turns it down due to the complexity of his life. Robot runs the team, but over time Cecil begins to lose faith in Robot's leadership as this new team is less efficient than the previous Guardians. Robot is essentially threatened by the government, who needs his metrics to improve or they will remove him from his position. Robot hopes to improve his metrics with the Guardians when they attempt to repel the second flaxan invasion. The first invasion was repelled by Mark and Omni-Man earlier. They were repelled due to rapid aging caused by our dimension. However, this second invasion in Saudi Arabia is a bit more lethal as they don't age out, but thanks to Robot, the Guardians are quickly able to deduce that the wristbands the Flaxans wear are preventing them from rapidly aging and dying. They successfully repel the invasion, and for a brief period of time, Robot is looked on more favorably by the government. After the battle between Omni-Man and Mark Grayson, Omni-Man leaves the planet and Cecil orders the recently revived Immortal to serve as an advisor to Robot. They also introduce another team member, Bulletproof, to the group. While serving as leader, Robot begins a friendship with Monster Girl, who's actually a 29-year-old woman trapped in a girl's body due to the fact that her powers cause her to de-age whenever she uses them. Robot and Monster Girl bond, and he dedicates himself to finding a cure for her condition. After an unknown alien race invades Earth, we're shown the new Guardians of the Globe with Invincible assisting, attempting to fight them off. Robot concludes that the battle is not unwinnable, but the length of time the battle takes and the damage done and lives lost may be incalculable. Randomly, the invasion just kinda ends. It's implied that the invasion and the abrupt ending were tests designed by Cecil to measure Robot's performance, but regardless, Cecil is not pleased. He removes Robot from active command and promotes Immortal to full-time team leader. Robot stays on the team as a team member, but in their first mission under Immortal, Black Samson and Bulletproof are both gravely injured. Robot continues to work on Monster Girl's condition, even asking that she be pardoned from missions for a period of time, which is denied because it's the government. Eventually, Robot retrofits Black Samson's power suit for Robot Girl's use so that she can go on missions without needing to transform for every single one of them. After Rexplode is dumped by Duplicate, Rex attempts to confide in Robot, asking for guidance. During the conversation, Robot extracts some of Rex's DNA, unbeknownst to Rex. The Guardians next battle Omnipotus, and the combined strength of Robot and the revived Black Samson send him packing back to his own dimension. Robot next seeks out the genius Mauler twins, two clones of a former villain named Mauler, who are geniuses in the field of genetics and cloning. The Mauler twins had previously been involved in a number of other projects throughout the Invincible universe that I will cover elsewhere in other videos, but Robot employs them to use the DNA gathered by him from Rex to clone a new human body. It is revealed that Robot is, and always has been, a deformed human named Rudolph Conners. Rudolph has a rare condition that causes the air to burn his skin, so he spent his life confined to a tube. Despite his shortcomings, he has amassed a massive fortune, but he needed the Mauler twins to help him move his consciousness from his tube body to the cloned body of Rex. The Mauler twins agree but inform him that the process doesn't really work the way that he thinks it might. They can implant his consciousness in a new body down to the memories, but it would simply be a perfect copy of everything he is at that point. There would still be the old Rudolph Conners alive. Rudolph understands what the Mauler twins are trying to imply to him, but he continues to ask them to finish the project. Once the new Rex clone is complete and the full consciousness of Rudolph is implanted in it, the new version of Rudolph kills the old version of him at his own request. Robot then does what Robot does best, and he double-crosses the Mauler twins and, using a significantly more powerful drone, reapprehends them. Robot explains to the team the entire scenario leading to him having a new body and being more than just a drone in the headquarters now. He also starts to become romantically involved with Monster Girl, whose plight mirrors his own and served as the catalyst for him finally finding a solution to leaving his test tube, something he had desired his entire life. We also start to understand how intelligent Robot is. After the second battle with Doc Seismic, Robot informs Monster Girl that he is a technopath and can perform many of the actions required to operate multiple robot drones fairly subconsciously. He is capable of completing tasks in his human body while piloting multiple drones with minimal difficulty. Over time, Monster Girl and Rudolph start to bond and grow to be somewhat of a couple. When a massive Martian warship arrives on Earth, piloted by the Sequid-controlled Russ Livingston, an astronaut accidentally left on Mars months before, Robot helps determine a way to turn one of his drones into a device that severs the link between the Sequids and their human host, ending the threat. At the same time this battle is taking place, the other less powerful Guardians are appointed to stop the Lizard League from launching nuclear missiles. During this mission, Duplicate is believed to be killed, and because of this, Immortal retires. With Immortal retired, Robot once again takes over as team leader. Around issue 50, Mark and Cecil come to blows over Cecil using Darkwing 2 and D.A. Sinclair as government assets, and in the subsequent fallout, Robot and most of the Guardians quit the team. During this time, Robot finds a temporary cure for Monster Girl's condition in the form of a belt that stores an exact copy of her DNA right before she transforms. Robot reestablishes the teen team and uses their base, but the name needs updated due to the fact that most of the members aren't teens anymore. The events of the Invincible War take place, and Robot and other members of the team work hard to repel the alternate dimension Mark Grayson's. In the chaos of battle, Rex and Monster Girl are almost killed before Rexplode charges his own skeleton, killing himself and an alternate dimension Mark Grayson, saving Robot and Monster Girl's life. This sacrifice deeply affects Rudolph, and as an homage to him, Rudolph begins going by the name Rex. For the purposes of the remainder of this video, I will refer to Robot as either Robot or Rex from now on. The Sequids attack for the final time. The combined forces of the Invincible universe end up fighting back before Robot determines that there's a hidden secret Sequid host, and that this host needs to be neutralized. Robot is almost killed by the Sequids in this battle. However, right at the last minute, Mark decapitates a Sequid-controlled Russ Livingston and ends the threat of the Sequids permanently. Or so you think, because As Rex is taking a shower later after the event had kind of traumatized him, he ends up barfing up a sequid that had unknowingly entered his body. He stomps on it and ends the sequid invasion permanently. The next section is probably the most character development that Robot ever receives. After the third flaxan invasion, we see Rex and Monster Girl jump through a flaxan portal determined to stop them from invading Earth once and for all. However, little do they know that they will be gone for a very, very, very long time. Rex and Monster Girl end up in captivity in the flaxan dimension. Over the span of nearly 4 years, Rex and Monster Girl are held prisoner. During this time, Rex learns the flaxan language and Monster Girl is used as a beast for gladiatorial sport. They also determine that they basically don't age in that dimension, as the reverse of what happens to the flaxans in our dimension happens to them in the flaxan dimension. Rex and Monster Girl are held in captivity for almost 20 years, with Rex devising a plan to overthrow the flaxan monarchy. However, the first attempt fails and they are punished again, this time ordered to rebuild the capital cities that were destroyed by Omni-Man generations ago. Almost 100 years after entering the flaxan dimension, Robot and Monster Girl start a violent rebellion comprised of slave workers, and they revolt against the flaxan royal family of Zaxel, and Rex becomes their leader. Rex and Monster Girl fight in a nearly 200-year-long war known as the Great War of Independence. During this time, Rex makes alliances with other flaxans, and eventually the tide turns in the war. Monster Girl secretly desires to go home, but is unable because Rex believes that if they do leave the planet, then eventually the Flaxans will just undo all they've accomplished and come back to attack Earth again. Eventually, Rex's forces win, and the duo decides to stay in the Flaxan dimension and rule permanently. Rex becomes the Emperor and Monster Girl his queen. They rebuild the Flaxan society and usher in a new utopia for the dimension. Despite the war, Monster Girl is able to convince Rex to let the Zaxel family go free. Robot and Monster Girl become estranged when Robot becomes obsessed with his leadership position. It also doesn't help that Monster Girl also assists Zaxel people who she believes Robot was treating unfairly post-war. The two barely speak for decades until they eventually reunite. However, the Zaxels again attack, this time aided by Monster Girl, and Robot is imprisoned again in the same cell that he was imprisoned in about 150 years before. When Monster Girl learns that the Zaxel family plans to attack Earth again, she helps release Robot and apologizes for turning on him in the first place. The two again reconcile, retake their throne of power, and end the rebellion. However, shortly thereafter, Monster Girl comes clean with Rex about having an affair, and the act breaks Rex's heart. He decides it's time to return to Earth, and the two make plans to go to Earth's dimension. But before they leave, Rex gives the final order to kill every Zaxel and Zaxel supporter, effectively ending that threat once and for all. When the two return to Earth, they lie about how long they've been gone. They tell Cecil it's been about 12 years, when in reality it was almost 1,000. Shockingly, shortly after returning, the Flaxans invade again, except this time in London. This blows Rex away, who can't believe that the Flaxans immediately went back to their old ways, before he learns that the new Flaxan leader, Monax, is actually the offspring of Monster Girl and her lover Zal from when she had an affair. Rex fights Monax, and he reveals that he knew of Monax's conception but thought his final order would have killed him as a child. Monax is defeated and imprisoned, much to the emotional detriment of both Rex and Monster Girl. Robot's next significant accomplishment comes after Dinosaurus, a climate-conscious villain, detonates a bomb in Greenland that causes massive global flooding, killing hundreds of thousands of people. Robot is able to correct the tides by building 2 massive artificial moons, which he then lives in and operates out of. This acts as his home base until the end of the series. Robot begins his ultimate plans on Earth by assisting Mark in hunting down Angstrom Levy in an alternate dimension. However, when Robot and Mark find him, Robot kills Angstrom and another version of Mark and leaves Invincible stranded. Robot then returns back to his own dimension and starts the process of world domination. Robot believes that after ruling an entire world, he's really the only person fit to rule ours. He lies to everyone in the dimension and tells them Mark was killed in the mission and begins constructing new, more powerful drones. Mark is able to return from the alternate dimension, months later after Robot left him there. At this point, Robot's hand is kind of forced, and he begins his secret conquest of Earth. He starts by killing Cecil in front of Invincible, and then traveling to Mark's home where he attacks Eve and cuts her leg off. Mark is forced to retreat when he finds that punching one of the new drones causes the drones to produce a pulse wave that damages his equilibrium, essentially his weak spot. After getting Eve to safety, Mark comes back to take Robot on again before determining that he is way outmatched, and he gives up. Robot wins control of the planet and ushers in a utopia. Many heroes and villains die during the early stages of his rule, but ultimately the planet thrives under his leadership. Monster Girl and Rex come to blows over Rex's plans, and Rex jettisons her into outer space, nearly killing her. But she's saved by a Viltrumite named Anissa, who had been living on Earth in secret. Robot forms a truce with the heroes of Earth and the Viltrumites living there in secret. He continues to rule the Earth, and Mark and Eve leave the planet after determining that Rex has everything under control, but they can't live there under his rule. Rex next assists the forces of Earth in the climactic final showdown with Thrag and his army of half-breed Viltrumite children. This is covered fairly extensively in my Omni-Man and Invincible videos. However, Robot helps the forces of Earth repel the invasion and even helps Mark defeat Thrag when they're battling on the surface of the sun. The forces of Earth win the battle, and Mark is made the leader of the Viltrumites. However, after the battle, Robot rounds up the children of the Viltrumites living on Earth because he believes that Mark plans to use them to overthrow his rule. This forces a massive final battle known as Robot War. Mark is able to convince the remaining half-breed Viltrumites, the Viltrumites he commands, and Earth's heroes to attack and overthrow Robot. During the battle, they're able to determine that Rex is piloting one of the drones. Mark is able to figure out which drone it is and fly him out into space far enough away that he can't communicate with his other drones. Robot then taunts Mark and tells him that he can kill him, but if he does, he'll lose all of the progress Robot made in changing the Earth for the better. Mark kind of figures a way around this by destroying Rex's body, but keeping his brain and connecting it to a communication device that would allow him to communicate his plans and ideas, but not interact with any systems that would allow him to be a threat, effectively neutralizing him forever. Actually, even the brain of Robot believes that this is better for him in the long run. And that ends the comic book history of Rudolph or Rex Conners, aka Robot. I hope you learned a lot about this absolute psycho, and if you did, consider dropping a like. Additionally, let us know what character you want to see next from Invincible down in the comments section. This has been Nick with Key Issues. Thanks again for watching, and remember the motto, Robot over everything.